Hey guys, thank you for joining me today. Today's just another short video. I'm about to have a longer project coming up. I'm waiting for the actual model to arrive. It's been ordered, and when it gets here, I will start on that. But for now, I'm just doing some 3D prints. Here we have a Star Wars TIE Defender. I think that's kind of oriented right. I found this on Thingiverse. You can see it's still attached to its supports. I got to remove all those supports. Just kind of want to show you how I supported it. It was printed, well, technically it's printed upside down like that on my resin printer, my Anycubic Photon M3 printer. I think the print came out very well. I think I did a pretty good job. I just did the supports manually. It's about 1 to 144 scale. I didn't really try to measure it or anything. Just going by, I have some 144 scale TIE fighters, and the cockpit section looks very close to it. Maybe a little smaller than that, but it's in that area. So, but it does have some really nice details. The panels, some people call them solar panels. I think some people call them ion panels. The panels here, have really nice detail, nice insect grooves. So it's really just going to be a matter of removing it from its supports, which seem to be coming off pretty easy anyway. I just have to be careful when I start moving around some of this detail here. And painting it up. And I think with the panels, on TIE Fighters, the work is always in painting these panels, and there's some nice grooves in here, so I think I can just freehand paint most of this. I think the paint, these raised lines will be able to catch the paint, and I can have some decent looking lines without having to go all the effort. This has a lot of panels to mask off. Technically there's even, looks like there's even some on the inside right here. So all that has to be painted, so quite a few. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15 different panels, I guess. So now this one came with a little support. I'm just going to leave that attached. It needs to be supported anyway, so it already has a hole built into it. I'll probably just paint it black so it doesn't look like it's part of the ship, but it'll be nicely supported. So anyway, first things first, detach these supports, and they'll be, usually whenever you detach these, there's a little bit of sanding and clean up. Sometimes you get a little damage you may have to fix. And I have to remove these supports right here and right here. So we'll get busy with that, and we'll get on to painting it. All right, I have our TIE Defender all separated from the supports here, and it came out pretty nicely. I think I have just a few little minor parts where it kind of, as I clipped it off, it took a little tiny bit of the back section here. Overall, not too bad. There it is right there. That little section came off as I was removing that support. Sanded down the edges, mostly where the supports are here, and removed the sections that were there. I then cleaned it up again using some acetone and put it under my UV lamp for a good while to make sure it's good and hardened. So now I'm just going to apply a primer coat, and we'll move on to painting. Alright, I have my TIE Defender all primed up, and I think it's looking pretty sharp. Not a whole lot of flaws, if any, or if they are, they're very minor. And so primer came out good. It was just a spray primer on it. And now I'm going to move into a base coat, and I think I'm going to go with, going to experiment around with kind of the blue-gray colors, and we'll get that base coat on there, and then we'll come back and paint those panels later. But for now, I'm just got to get that base coat on. Alright, I have a lot of my painting done. I just did my base coat with, of course, this cloudy day. I then applied a clear satin coat just from a rattle can. From there, I just hand painted all the solar panels or ion panels, whatever you want to call them. And that took quite a while. There's quite a few on here. You have, of course, the two sides on each one, and you have 6 of them, so 12 panels. Each one has 3, so 36. But don't forget, there's also these ones in the middle. There's some tiny ones in between these sets of panels here that I also do. So it took a little while to just kind of hand paint that. even if you were to mask it off. Either way, it's just going to take a while. A little bit of cleanup to do. If there's some really defined edges here, so it was pretty easy to keep the paint brush kind of inside the grid here. When I did go over, because I clear coated it, I just went back with a Q-tip and a little paint thinner and wiped it off to give us a clean look. You can also see where I've kind of did the same thing. I painted the cockpit windows, and when I let it dry, and I went back and wiped off the excess around the different little struts there around the cockpit glass. I did go ahead and start with a little bit of Pentaline accent color from Tamiya. I painted that just with some of this Tamiya flat black XF1. I did have to thin it down. This is pretty, I don't know if you can quite tell, but it's pretty coarse. There's like these tiny little pockets, and the paint didn't want to kind of settle in there, so I did have to thin that black paint down a little bit to get it to settle in there. And go back, actually, most of it has like 2 coats of paint, kind of get it to cover well. But I also started with my accent color, just kind of hitting these Pentalines, and to bring out the detail. And it's looking pretty good. There's still a little bit to do. I was getting ahead of myself, so I thought I'd stop and make a quick video before I go any further. So from here, I'm going to do some Pentaline accent color around the rest of the ship, and bring out the detail. I cleaned it up. You can use a little enamel thinner to wipe off excess once it dries, and maybe just a tiny bit of dry pastels to give it a little bit of weathered look to it. Not too much. It's a TIE Fighter, so it should look pretty good. So when I come back, we'll look at the finished TIE Defender. All right, here we are finished up with our TIE Fighter, our TIE Defender. Now, obviously, you can see that I've added on to that. I went ahead and made a little display and put it on a little display stand here. These are all these files came from Thingiverse. The author of these files goes by the name of Astrofossil, and I would highly recommend, if you have a 3D printer, check out his page on Thingiverse. He has a ton of TIE variants, other types of ships. They're all very nicely done. These are all single prints. They're not pieced out, so you can print them all as one piece. But we have the TIE Sentinel that he's named this one, and we have the TIE Avenger right here, and of course the TIE Defender. Now, I know the TIE Defender is a canon ship. I believe that was in one of the animated shows. I don't know if it's exactly like this one here, but it's very nicely done. They're all very nicely done with nice details, fairly easy to paint up, really defined panels here that are easy to just kind of hand paint. And I made this nameplate on Tinkercad, and I'm learning how to use that, and just 3D printed out the nameplate, and of course painted it and attached it to this piece of wood here that I just put some varnish on, just to kind of give it a nice look to it. So anyway, hope you've enjoyed the short videos. It's a little bit of 3D printing fun this week before I dive into some other projects. And thank you for joining me. Until next time, everybody have a good one.